Hi Scrabble fans, my name is Will Anderson and welcome to the round 1 matchup between Rafal Dominicak and Nuala O'Rourke. We'll be following this game from Raf's point of view. Roth opens with an alternative spelling of fetid. This is a really nice play. He's used his highest scoring letter on the double letter score to really boost his score, and he's avoided placing vowels next to the double letter scores alongside the word. Nuala responds with a very nice bingo, arsenate. Back to Roth, who plays fruit. This is a good play, but with a rack like this, Roth's objective is to shed the V and the U as quickly as he can. Fruit does get that U off of his rack, but it holds on to the V, whereas a play like virus or virtus would use up both of those tiles. Nuala responds with atop arsenate, scoring very well with her H. Back to Roth, who plays vo underneath arsenate, scoring very well with the triple word score. There is a similar situation to last turn on this turn. Last turn, I wanted to see him use the V and the U instead of just one of those two tiles with fruit. Here, he's used up the V and left the W behind. I would have liked to see him make a play that uses both of those tiles, such as wove on top of arsenate, making the three-letter word wa. Nuala responds with cute, forming rec. Back to Roth, who makes a beautiful underlapping play of new, scoring 46 points with 4 overlapping words. This is an excellent play. It really underscores the value of knowing your two-letter words cold. The only tweak I would have made is replacing that E with the O and playing no instead, simply because holding on to the E, which is the best vowel, is really going to improve his chances of bingoing and scoring well on his next turn. Nuala responds with glut on top of fruit for a decent score. Roth makes an awesome play here of remosity through the I of fetid. Wow, that's just an obscure word. It shows why Roth and the other players in this tournament are champion level. The only other play I would consider here is trisomy, forming ute. That scores a few more points. It also blocks a potentially dangerous lane that could span 2 double word scores if Nuala were to have a word that fits. Does she? Ouch. Unfortunately for Roth, she does, and she finds it. Etiolan for 90 points. Great play by Nuala here. Roth responds with dench underneath fruit, forming lid and ute. This is a good play, scoring 33 points, but I think he probably overlooked the E hook to glut. The same letters would have scored 10 more points, forming glute, going down the board. Also, he could have played wench in the same spot, scoring even more. There's also an obscure word going down from the O of Etiolan of ouch, which puts the W in a really high scoring spot and would have scored 51 points in this position. Nuala responds with pan on top of Etiolan, scoring well with her P. Roth now has a high scoring but clunky set of consonants on his rack, and he responds to that by playing wag for 28 points underneath Etiolan. This is a nice play. It gets rid of the W, which we definitely want to use as quickly as we can. It scores well. There was an obscure 5-letter word down from the O of Etiolan available here of O flag, which scored really well. But I actually want to point out another nuance of this play, where if Roth is worried about Nuala after her play of pan. Pan is a play that does look pretty strong. She's probably keeping 4 good letters behind after a play like that. If Roth is worried about that, instead of playing wag, he could replace his W with his F. And what would that accomplish? Well, after wag, notice that potential bingos for Nuala ending in ED or ER or the letters N and L will all play hooking OW and LA, ow and la. But if he were to replace that W with the F instead, none of those words would go down. Let's see what happens on Nuala's next play and see if that's going to matter. Sure enough, Nuala's drawn the first blank, and she finds the only bingo available with her rack of ovarian, hooking own. This is a great play by Nuala, But notice that had Roth played his F instead of the W in that same spot on his previous turn, Nuala would not be able to bingo now. Sometimes the tiniest little details and nuances between moves can make a huge impact on the game. Roth now finds himself down by a sizable margin. This is a really tricky move for him here. He plays fob. I totally get the rationale behind this move. He's trying to increase the value of his S that he's left behind on his rack as much as he can, creating a really high scoring hook to play potential S bingos on the triple lane. That's a good idea. It could work out really well for him. There were other options he could have taken here, though. One interesting idea would be he is down by 60-odd points, but he can cut that deficit a lot by simply playing flash to the H of Dench. This would accomplish a couple things. First, by playing that, you don't commit yourself necessarily to requiring a bingo to get back in the game the way fob does. The unseen letters available to Roth include the Z, the X, and the Q and J. If he's able to draw many of those tiles in succession, he may be able to get back into the game without even needing a bingo, and Flash puts him on that path. Nuala responds to the threat by playing I in the corner, blocking the fob's hook. And the block is just in time, as Roth has drawn Isoled, which would have played for many more points with fob had Nuala not blocked. This is a great play by Roth. It's his only bingo here, and it's the sort of word that these players, champion-level players, are likely to know cold, but your average player is not going to know a word like this. It's a very impressive find. Nuala answers back with Alp. That's a good idea. If she can't use that big scoring spot along the bottom row, blocking it for Roth is a great idea. So Roth has erased his huge deficit. He's only down by 6, but unfortunately for him, he's drawn the Q. That's been a recurring theme in these first round games. Players have drawn the Q late and struggled to deploy it effectively through no fault of their own. That should tell you why the Q is thought of so poorly by experienced players like the ones in this tournament. So here, Roth plays Yom, which is a great play. The reason it's a good play is that he keeps together QAD behind and as part of his leave. That's good because if he draws one of the 2 remaining eyes, he'll have 2 spots to play his Q for a solid score in different parts of the board. He'll be able to play Cade through the A of Ovarian or Cades or Cades to the S of Arsenate. Here, Nuala keeps pace by scoring well with her J. And here we see that Roth hits his eye for his play of Cades, which he ends up playing. But unfortunately for him, his leftover letters after this play in the endgame, with the bag empty now, are GEX. And those letters, if he could somehow find a way to use all 3 of them, he could end the game on his next turn and win, but no such play exists. And unfortunately for him, he's going to come up just short against Nuala in this endgame. Nuala responds with a nice play of Zo for 36 points, putting her up by 12. And here, as I said, if there were somehow a play that used all 3 of Roth's letters here, he would win the game. There isn't, and he makes the best possible play available to him of Dex instead, taking a small lead, but Nuala finds a way to use all of her letters and score just enough points to sneak ahead of Roth in the endgame. In fact, you can see that this game was decided by the final tile as the points for the G cross over from Roth to Nuala and deliver her the victory.